good friend John Manellis. He's the owner of Auto Care Plus, which has 5 facilities here in northern New England, including, well, I guess 2 right in our listening area. In Manchester at Candia Road, 991 Candia Road. Merrimack, 738 Daniel Webster Highway. Up in the Lakes region in Wolfboro on Route 28 in the North Country. Is that the Great North Woods up there in Conway, John?
I don't think it's that quite yet.
No?
Oh, right. Conway it is. Yeah, I thought you said Wolfboro.
Yeah, no, Wolfboro's the Lakes region. Then you got one up in the Great North Woods in Conway, and then down east in Maine across from the Main Mall in South Portland. AutoCarePlus.com is where you can get all the specific addresses. You can even schedule your services online. You can see everything they offer, and which will help you conclude why they call themselves your dealer alternative. While you're there, check out their pre-purchase inspection. Don't get caught with a lemon. Bring it to them, and they'll tell you whether or not it needs to be squeezed. Can't tell you how much money and trouble that pre-purchase inspection saved me when I was buying my vehicle. Oh, my head. And, of course, their car care clubs, which make routine maintenance routine and less expensive. And and finally, their 5-year, 50,000-mile warranty on parts and labor. Good nationwide. Good morning, John.
Good morning, Mitch. How are you today?
Fine, thank you. So I saw your post,
good.
Which I shared to my Facebook page. What is it? How does your car like the cold?
How's it feeling today?
Yeah. It's.
I know how we're feeling when we get outside in the morning, and it's really cold, and it's going to get really cold the next few days. So I thought I would talk about that because lots of people get stranded this time of year because of certain things and inconvenience, however you want to look at it. But
indeed.
So yeah, it feels much like you do. I mean, I know it's an inanimate object and all, but it's a mechanical device. And certainly it takes us a little bit longer getting going in the morning. When you're outside in the cold, you got to warm up a little. So your car's kind of the same way. The fluid in it is when the temperatures drop this low, they start to get thicker, or you call it like maple syrup. So it takes them a little bit longer to stop moving and warm up. And so those are, things that can be done. You can make sure that you're running the right oil in your vehicle for these temperatures. Most of the time we're running a W, which is multi-viscosity. So, but it can't hurt even in the winter months to actually run a thinner oil and a synthetic oil if you can. It gets going faster, if you will. So it doesn't it doesn't turn to mud like some of the conventional oils do. So then that was one thing I was going to talk about. I was going to give you guys 5 pretty much easy areas to look at and what keeps you stuck.
Okay.
Or inconvenienced.
Right.
And
yeah, well, before you get into that, I have a question though, because I've heard it both ways. You should let your car sit in the driveway and warm up, idle, if you will, until you drop it into gear and go. And then there are other people who say, well, no, if the goal is to warm the car up faster than not, then you drop it in the gear and go because it will warm up faster when it's on the move than when it's in the driveway. So what do you do on a cold morning? Do you let it quote unquote warm up? Is that more good than bad, more bad than good? Or do you hit the ignition and go?
You can hit the ignition and go. Honestly, you can. These cars start right up. For the most part, with fuel injection, it's helped. I mean, again, battery condition is going to make a difference. When the battery gets this cold, it loses half of its cranking power when it gets to 0 degrees. So, and if you combine that with thicker fluids or heavy, muddy fluids at the time in the morning, it may not even start. It may crank so slow. You only get a few seconds before you can deplete that battery, and it won't be able to turn the car over if the battery's in weak shape. So, obviously keeping your battery up to snuff is, but to answer your question, yes. I mean, you can put it in gear and go, but my recommendation is, because the oil is going to move and it's going to warm up quicker, like you said, as you're moving and but I wouldn't go down the road at, maximum RPM. I would, first of all, put the car in gear and don't just slam on the gas. Put the car in gear and wait for it to engage, because the transmission fluid, much like the oil, is also a little bit thick, and it's going to take a little while for the oil to get to where it needs to go and actually engage the transmission into gear. So what I don't want to hear is that thumping noise when you stepped on the gas too quickly. I mean, we're talking, a second or two. You'll hear it. You'll feel it engage. You'll actually, if you're paying attention, you'll feel it. Otherwise, if you go to step on the gas, you might actually rev the engine a little bit, and then when the transmission engages, you put a heavy load on it, and you'll feel the clunk. And so, again, that's bad, because it's not only putting stress on the transmission, it's putting stress on the drive components, like the drive shaft and the axles and other stuff. You don't want to hit it hard like that in the morning. So for me,
wait, and it's funny that you say that, because I noticed that really with my truck, my Durango. When it's cold, it does take a second or two for once I move the shift for it to actually get into reverse.
Yeah, and it's exactly because the transmission fluid is taking a little bit longer to move. The pump is pumping, but it takes a little bit longer to get to where it needs to be to actually engage the clutches. So it's not a big deal, but it's something that over time, if you do this time and time again, every time you get in your car, you're going to put undue stress on the drivetrain and the transmission and all the other stuff, and it'll wear out prematurely, and that's why I warn people. But again, it can't hurt sitting there. I start my car up with my remote start because I want my heated seats to come on, and I want to be warm when I get in it. The car doesn't need to wait, but
So it's for your transmission.
Exactly. So it's ultimately for creature comforts that we have on most of these vehicles today. Not everybody has all these amenities, but my car happens to have heated seats, which I actually like. So, but the battery is a big thing, and people in the New England area don't realize that it lives a harsh life here, and the average life in the New England area is just over 4 years. So, I mean, if you think, and that's if you've taken good care of your battery, meaning you haven't let it sit for weeks at a time and depleted it, and then had to recharge it from almost, no volts on the way up. That cuts the battery's life down too. So, assuming you drive your car every day and you don't take short trips, and the battery's able to charge back up to full state, if your battery's 2-3 years old right now, I would want to be getting it tested. And there's nothing you can do in your driveway. You really need you need professional tools. So you need to stop at a parts store or an auto repair shop or something like that and have them actually test the battery. And if you think it's going on 3-4 years old, you don't get a lot of warning. So now's the time to just put a new battery in it and not chance getting stuck, especially when the mercury hits below zero. The next few days it's supposed to hit 7-8 degrees at night. Below freezing. That's pretty cold stuff. So
yeah, that's pretty cold.
Couple of other things. The wiper blades is another thing that we see a lot of this time of year when we start to wake up to snow and frost on the windows. I'd say get yourself a new set of wiper blades, because most likely they're more than 6 months old, and they don't really last more than 6 months in this area. I mean, yeah, they'll still work, but will they be the best they can be? No. And the other part of this is we always, I've been guilty myself, but I would tell you it's detrimental to turn the wipers on, when there's some kind of frost on it, because most likely the blade is frozen to the window. You can tear the blade when you turn them on. So you should actually take the time to definitely have an ice scraper in the car and be able to scrape that window and free the blade up from the glass before you turn on the blades. Otherwise, you could strip out the actual linkage or the arms from the arm is a soft metal, and it's on its flying shaft, and you see a lot of them where they come in and they don't move anymore because they're stripped out because somebody tried to clear the snow off the window with it, and it was supposed to get maybe 6 inches of snow Sunday night, so don't go out there and just be lazy. So, put a new set of blades on for one thing, and then don't ruin those set of blades by using them as ice scrapers. Because, when you turn on, a lot of people try to use their windshield washer fluid and their wipers as, a cleaning mechanism. And that's just going to take and reduce the life of those new blades you just put on. So, yeah, that's my opinion is, save, and also invest in some washer fluid. Have a cup, a gallon or so on, and at home or one in the car, because you'll be amazed at how fast you go through this stuff in the wintertime when they start hitting the roads with the salt and stuff and the sand.
Oh yes, so, it doesn't take much.
Doesn't. And then as we talked about the oil, again, I would talk to your professionals and see what's recommended in the climates that we're heading into. Most of the time, you're good running the same oil that you ran all year round, but not everybody. I can't cookie cutter that into everybody. So, and even if you run a 5W30, you might consider running a 5W20 or a 0W30 in the winter time, just to help with the cold starts that we're going to be experiencing. If you can put your car in the garage at night, even better, because you can keep it, But again, everybody has to go to work, and most likely you're parked outside. So, and then tires we talked about a couple of weeks ago. That is another big one. The New England area, my recommendation is always to put a set of winter tires on here, snow tires, because we see sufficient amount of that stuff. And we see sufficient amount of temperatures below 45 degrees, so all of that equates to, yes, you should run a full set of snow tires. And if I had my way, I would tell you to put them on a nice set of steel rims. That way, every summer, winter changeover makes it easier for you. Some people can do that in their driveway. Some people, you save the cost of having us mount and balance the same, keep moving tires from the same set of rims. So if you can afford to swing it, I would get a dedicated set of tires and rims for the winter, and then just bolt them on off when needed. So,
okay.
Again, some of these cars, they come with 17, 18, 19, 20-inch rims. Sometimes you can get a size lower on the rim in the tire package. I would check with the professional and see what will fit your car, and you can save some money on those rims if you don't have to buy the 20 inches. But even still, the steel rims aren't that horribly expensive. If you're wanting to keep your car 5, 6, 7 years, it's a good investment, because you're going to have those rims and those tires for 3 years at least. The rims will last forever, obviously, but depending on how much you drive, it's a lot easier in the long run. You save money in mounting and balancing over the long term. So,
Now, can you get away with having a different size rim for your snow tire than for your your regular tires, or is the rim size really sort of determined by the vehicle?
No, and that's what I said. You can actually a lot of times run a size lower.
Okay, all right.
And again, because the manufacturer, most vehicles come with different sizes depending on the added model packages, or what you call the bells and whistles. So like a base model might have a 16-inch, and the super performance model might have a 17-inch. So you could actually run the base model tire.
Gotcha.
When it comes to winter tires in rim packages, which will save you some money. So,
yeah. I didn't.
And then the other thing about tires is checking those pressures, because that's another thing that nobody does. And the winter is the time when you'll actually lose air pressure, and so you want to make sure that you keep, as soon as the temperature drops, the pressure drops, and you want to make sure you set them back to the right pressures, and also check that spare tire, because I can't tell you how many times we try to go help somebody on the side of the road change their tire for them, and their spare tire is flat. So
Check
Not everybody knows where the spare tire is, but it's good if it's there that it actually has some air.
Yeah, mine is up underneath the bed of the truck. So,
so when you bring it into the shop, just say, hey, when we're rotating the tires or doing whatever, make sure you check the spare for me, because this is the time of year when it seems like we have a lot of tire breakdowns and because of the cold temperatures, and you might actually need that spare. So I would make sure it's working, or at least going to be able to get you back home or to a repair shop or wherever you need to get it replaced. So.
All right, John, speaking of which, we got to go. We are out of time, but as always, we appreciate your sharing the insights that will avoid us having to spend a lot of money at Auto Care Plus. It's just kind of a weird thing that you do.
Well, maintenance is definitely cheaper. So.
We're going to take a break for traffic, weather, and sports. AutoCarePlus.com is where you can get the details of what we just talked about and so much more. Why? Well, they're your dealer alternative. Take a look. Alternative. Take a look.